The story of the Toyota Land Cruiser begins in post-war Japan, the early 1950s. The country was rebuilding, resources were scarce, and the government needed a tough, reliable 4x4 for the National Police Reserve. Toyota answered with the BJ prototype in 1951, a boxy, utilitarian truck that could climb the steps of Mount Otago Shrine. That feat didn't just prove capability, it planted the seed for what would become a legend. By 1954, the vehicle had a new name, Land Cruiser. Strong, evocative, and filled with promise. It would prove to be more than just a vehicle. It would become a companion to explorers, farmers, soldiers, and families across every corner of the globe. Through the 1950s, Toyota refined the design with the 20 and 30 series, softening edges and improving comfort, but always keeping ruggedness at the core. Then came the 40 series in 1960, the model that etched the Land Cruiser into automotive history. Tough as nails, simple to repair, and seemingly unbreakable, the 40 became the vehicle of choice in deserts, jungles, and mountains. For decades, it remained in production in far-flung markets, a workhorse that never quit. By the late 1960s, Toyota saw a new opportunity. Families who wanted the toughness of a Land Cruiser, but with more space and comfort. Enter the 55 series, the first wagon-style cruiser, opening the door to adventure without sacrificing utility. The 60 series of the 1980s pushed that vision further. It blended off-road capability with comfort features that made long journeys easier, ushering in an era where the Land Cruiser became not only a work tool, but also a lifestyle choice. In 1984, Toyota split the family tree. The 70 series carried the torch of heavy-duty toughness, serving farmers, military units, and adventurers who needed uncompromising durability. Meanwhile, the 80 series refined the formula with more comfort, safety, and technology, appealing to a new generation of drivers who wanted both strength and sophistication. The 100 series in 1998 and 200 series in 2007 leaned further into refinement, offering luxury appointments, advanced suspension systems, and cutting-edge safety, yet still able to conquer deserts and mountains without hesitation. In 2021, Toyota unveiled the 300 series, lighter yet stronger, with modern engines and digital aids that honored its heritage while preparing it for the future. At the same time, the Prado line carried the Land Cruiser spirit into urban centers and suburban driveways, without losing its 4x4 DNA. The Land Cruiser is not just a car, it is a story of endurance, trust, and evolution. For over 70 years, it has carried aid workers to remote villages, families across continents, and adventurers to the ends of the earth. It has been a warhorse, a lifeline, a luxury cruiser, and an unshakable friend. From the rough BJ prototype to the high-tech 300 series, one truth has remained. A Land Cruiser will take you there and bring you back. Let me take you on a journey through the history and spirit of the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum, told as a story of passion, legacy, and adventure. Once upon a time in Salt Lake City, a passionate community of Toyota Land Cruiser lovers felt something was missing. A place where the history and spirit of these rugged, dependable vehicles could be honored. It wasn't enough to just own and drive them. Their stories, their evolution, their quirks, all that needed to live somewhere more timeless than a garage. Greg Miller, son of Larry H. Miller, carried that love. He'd grown up surrounded by cars, by values of legacy, and by a quiet longing to preserve what matters. Over time, that longing became a vision. A museum dedicated to the Land Cruiser, not just as a machine, but as a symbol of exploration, durability, and community. Thus, the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum was born, with a mission to preserve and celebrate the history of the Toyota Land Cruiser and to inspire adventure. The museum's ambition was bold. It sought to acquire one of every model of Land Cruiser ever produced. Over 100 variants, many rare, many forgotten, many beloved. Collectors, enthusiasts, and hobbyists joined the mission. They loaned in vehicles, old owner's manuals, kits, model-scale versions, memorabilia, marketing materials, and artwork. What began as a handful of cruisers slowly expanded into an archive and gallery of the brand's living history. Among the treasures, you will find the first Land Cruiser ever sold in the US, a 1958 FJ25. Vehicles that circled the globe, including those from Expedition 7, a 3-year adventure across all 7 continents, Antarctica included. quirky and rare off-road variants like the Toyota LD10 Blizzard or military-style models. Each machine tells a story of design, usage, technology, and the adventures they endured. The museum did not begin in a grand building. Its early life was humble, displays at Miller Motorsports Park, small showings, gradual accumulation. Over time, as the number of vehicles and artifacts grew, the need for a permanent home became clear. The museum relocated to a dedicated building off 600 North in Salt Lake City, a place that could better house its growing collection and welcome visitors from near and far. Today it stands open 6 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., inviting people to step into the world of the Land Cruiser, to see its many faces, to walk its timeline, to feel that cruiser magic. A vehicle museum could easily become a display of metal and glass. But the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum is more than that. It is a living repository of culture, mobility, and human spirit. Preservation of history. It captures how the Land Cruiser evolved, driven by engineering, market needs, and the demands of harsh terrains. Inspiration for adventure. The museum encourages people to see vehicles not just as transport, but as tools for exploration and connection. Fans of Land Cruisers travel from across the world to visit. The museum becomes a pilgrimage for kindred spirits. Through exhibits, stories, and artifacts, the museum teaches people about off-road technology, vehicle evolution, and how design responds to challenge. In the eyes of many, a Land Cruiser is more than a car. It's a family member, a companion on journeys, a symbol of endurance. That sentiment lives in the museum's walls. The Land Cruiser Heritage Museum continues to expand, still chasing that goal of representing every Land Cruiser ever made. Some models remain elusive, some stories untold, but the heart remains, a passion project turned sanctuary, a place where steel, rubber, history, and human endeavor intersect, a place where every cruiser, from the most common to the rarest, is honored, remembered, and celebrated. And for every visitor who walks through its doors, the museum whispers, "Your story is part of this legacy. Drive, explore, preserve."